Hello everyone and welcome to Blue Tengu's live game development show. It has been a while. For those of you on YouTube, maybe it hasn't been as long, but for those of you who are fans of the show on Twitch, we've been out for the last 2 weeks because I've had classes on 2 Sundays, and I didn't want to change the time again on you guys because that'd be even more confusing. So, as you know, I made it a double episode to make up for it before the 2 Sundays, and today I'm going to go try and do extra stuff as well to kind of make up for the fact that I missed last week. I don't like missing weeks. It has to happen because of school, but until school started, at least I was pretty good at not missing weeks. But let's get started. I've got 123 Gas in the room with me. 123 Gas has been helping with the art. So let me jump to the desktop. Last time, for example, 123 Gas drew these for me, and yes, much better than what I have in the game right now. You'll see that soon enough. What I need to do today is Boomerang chain hits. This has been a task that's been on the list for quite some time now. When we first came up with it, it was because the Boomerang was something that you could throw and control with a mouse. That wasn't very responsive. It was a cool system. It was kind of fun to use, to have the Boomerang kind of guiding around and stuff, kind of like the I'm trying to remember the game. Dark Sector. It's one of the Dark games on the Xbox 360. Like half the games on the Xbox 360 started with the word dark, so it's hard to remember which one's what. But I think it was Dark Sector where he had like the troll blade and you'd like throw it out the glaive or whatever it was, and it would like slow time and you could guide it around and stuff like that. Let's actually confirm that this was Dark Sector. Yes, Dark Sector. I'm not sure how many people have played this before or not, but he had this awesome blade, and it was cool to just like whip it out and start lopping off heads and stuff with it. We had kind of that system going, but it was a little too slow for an action game, so we changed it to like I think Pandavits was the one who originally suggested having like you hold the mouse button down to increase the radius and then let go and kill all the enemies in range. Might have to brush that up a little bit as well to make it more responsive, but we still have this Boomerang chain hits task that's been sitting here, and what do we do with it, especially with the new system? So we'll have to do a little thinking and planning on that. And Pandabits, good thing you're here as well, because Heligator, the Heligator, what to do with the Heligator, which doesn't really fit into the game at all, but I want to have that Heligator in there somewhere. So obviously I thought about bonus things, and you know, with Project Spaghetti we had a lot of keys and things like that. Probably not going to go overboard with the secrets and the keys in this game like we did with Project Spaghetti. Like Project Spaghetti has like tons of different keys and chests and things you can unlock, but in this game I think I'll keep it simpler. Not sure what kind of bonus content to unlock. Probably could probably power up the player, kind of like the Resident Evil rocket launcher style thing, where it's like if you find the right keys, maybe the player never runs out of energy or something like that. Hard to say, but we'll have the Heligators show up under certain conditions and you can destroy them to get keys. If it's bonus material, I don't think having something that's completely off from the atmosphere is going to ruin anything. It is bonus material. Even like, you know, Resident Evil, you could become a giant block of tofu with a knife. So there's a proud tradition of weird stuff in games. Resident Evil. For those of you who don't know about tofu, yes, you could become a block of tofu in Resident Evil. Took quite a bit of work to become a block of tofu, but as in real life, it is quite a bit of work to become a block of tofu, but you could do that. So yeah, I think in terms of bonus stuff, having things that don't fit the atmosphere is not a bad thing. And player resting sprites. Mention this to 123 Gas as well, but do want to have at least something for when the game first starts, or when the player like finds monoliths or restores at checkpoints or just sits around for a really long time, to have kind of a resting sprite. You know, have the main character, she can sit down on the ground or lie down or whatever, just for variety. But because that would actually be a feature, I would want to implement that now. Because the problem with implementing features after entering beta is if you bug check and you add a feature, you don't know what that feature broke. So it's important to get the code stuff kind of locked down before you start bug testing. Otherwise, you're kind of what's the point of bug testing? Because you don't know in the future what it's going to be like. Boomerang chain hits. Let's think about this. And Pandabits always says, always delete the file after you're finished writing the replacement. Yes, delete the original file. That's a good point. Delete the file before the replacement. That would be pretty bad. But yeah, Morbius TV. We do this every week at this time. So like we started about half an hour ago. We usually do it for 2 hours. Today I'm going to go a little longer to make up for the fact that we weren't here last week. But yeah, we're doing game dev and game maker and stuff. Let's see. By the way, mention it to everyone who comes on, but if you are working on your own games or your own projects, don't have to be games, feel free to post links in the feed. That is perfectly fine. But, oh yeah, the basic game is a circling game. You circle enemies to destroy them before they can destroy you. Let's get on land and see this boomerang. I should probably power up the player too, so I'm going to cheat. Let's see, which command was it? P adjusts power level, so I'm going to boost up my player's power level. But I'll show you what that means after I land here. So, right now, that's my range for the boomerang. But if I boost my power level up, basically by finding monoliths and things, my boomerang becomes like super boomerang. Every enemy in that range gets destroyed. So, what does a chain hit mean? Is the question. Let's see if we can find some enemies here on the ground. We're on the plains right now, which is the easiest level, so there aren't that many ground enemies, because there have to be mountains and forests and things for those to show up. Locked notebook. It's actually kind of fun to play this now that the artifacts are actually properly being logged and showing up in the menu and stuff. But let's do this. One of the problems with the boomerang is that the hold down thing, the enemies basically get to you before you can whap them. So we either have to slow the enemies down, speed the boomerang up, one or the other. I think the boomerang's kind of fine as it is, so we probably have to slow enemies down. So what does a chain hit mean is a good question. Because there's no points in the game, so if you kill like 2 or 3 enemies at the same time, what do you get for it? Probably about the only thing we can give you is energy. Kind of like the flying enemies. That's probably all we can do. Like, for example, on the flying enemies, if you circle multiple enemies at the same time, you get lots of energy from them. So probably on the ground as well. If you can manage to destroy at least 2 enemies with 1 boomerang or something, we'll have to give you energy. Otherwise, we don't give you energy. Something like that would probably work. I think what we have to do is, while this boomerang is being held down, we have to slow the enemies down, kind of a time slow thing. The boomerang's so powerful it can break mountains. Chain hit-wise, I think, let's get started with the enemy part of it. I think there is still code inside of the enemies themselves that slows them down, because that was originally part of the game, was like when the player was in the air circling. Before it was like a click to circle thing, and I think most of them had time slow code. So you would click and then they would slow down and you would use your power to circle them. That was the original intent, so I think we still have time slow code in here somewhere if we can find it. If EM slow is true, then we slow down the enemy by slowdown effect factor, which right now is what? Slowdown factor. By a factor of 3. So it slows them down by 1/3. Slows them down to 1/3. Not by 1/3, to 1/3 of their original speed, if EM slow is true. Okay, so if the player throws the boomerang The throwing part's the easy one. It's the ending part that's the hard one. So if it's created, if there's an actual boomerang created, then we probably want to set all of the enemy ground EM slows to true. And if the boomerang disappears, we want to set this to false. There might be a few holes in this. We'll see. We'll see. We'll find out if it works first of all. And the Morbius TV Blue Tangle will check back with you next time. Headed out. Cool work, man. And I hope you get that week off soon. I hope so too. Thank you, man. I hope I get to see you again too. And again, if you're working on anything, let me know. Also, we are on Twitter, so Twitter's btengu, B-T-E-N-G-U. So yeah, if you do follow us on Twitter, I always follow people back. So it'd be kind of cool to see what you're working on, especially like if you're doing any game work or even just playing games. That'd be cool. But yeah, hope to see you again. Thank you for dropping by and for following. That was very cool of you. Oh, thank you. Okay. Yeah, I'll follow you back as soon as we get on a break or episode ends. Feel free to send me a message and shake your fist at me if for some reason I fail to do that, but I'm sure I will be okay. Let's see. Let's find ourselves an island and check this out. Always kind of panic, make sure I am actually recording this episode for YouTube. So now we have to find some enemies. And see if the slowdown effect works. May not be any enemies on this island. I should probably... Oh, there we go. We'll have some there. Does not seem to be working. Yeah, there must be something else overriding it. Does not seem to be working. Also, one problem is we can't do this in Boomerang Create. Just realize this now. Because when the player is holding down and getting ready to throw the boomerang is when we need to set that variable. Because I don't want you to have to be working in the dark, because that's the worst. If you're working without information, you make something that you think is right, and then the person says, no, that's not what I wanted, or whatever, and then you have to go back and do it again. I want to make sure you have whatever information you need to do what you need to do. Okay, let's see what happens. I think the enemies are slowing down. One problem. Let's see if we can get some of these enemies to chase me. Yes, they're slowing down. There's a couple of problems. If an enemy is created after we've started holding down the boomerang, they're moving at normal speed. The other problem is when you release the boomerang, they go back to normal speed, so they're gonna end up catching you. So we do need to have the boomerang. I guess when the boomerang finishes, we can unset the speed. Yeah, there we go. Nice slowdown. They stay slow until you kill them. Okay. Yeah, I am wondering. Because this kind of makes it too easy, maybe? I don't know. If your size is that big, though, it's not... It's probably about right. Because if we do, like, at the lower power levels, like right now I've got my player powered up all the way, so it's like, okay, they can throw this super long boomerang out there. But when they first start out, when the player first starts out, they've got a range of about that much. So if we do, like, have the enemies speed up after the boomerang is thrown, they'll probably end up hitting the player before the boomerang kills them. So right now, when the ground enemies reach 0 hit points, they automatically just give up a gem here. But we need to do something to make sure that you're killing multiple enemies to drop these gems. That's going to be kind of tricky. Because you have to be killing multiple enemies. If we go back to giving them hit points, I guess it would be easier, but as it is right now, the only place we can really tell if we're killing multiple enemies is probably here. Let's see if I can get 2 at once. Might be kind of tough. Two at once. I heard a sound, so I think the sun gem did appear. But it's hard to tell. Maybe the sun gem is too close so it gets absorbed before it actually shows up properly. Come on, guys. Cooperate with me. Yeah, I'm getting sun gems from them. It's just the sun gem gets absorbed before you can even see it. So let's take a look at this. Step. Move towards the player. I think I know what's going on. It's my logic. It's my logic. Because I'm getting the gems, but they're not showing up, and I think I know why. It's because I am doing this here. So I'm dropping the gem where the player is rather than where the enemy is. So I need to do this. I don't think they spawn gems. There we go. Okay, yeah, I am getting gems. I'm accidentally destroying all of these things, though. Alright. Okay, yeah, the feature is working. Do notice a bug going on, though, so I'll have to add that. For a frame, the mountain disappeared, like the tile disappears, and then gets replaced to that rubble-looking tile. But there's that little bit where there's like this kind of flicker, and I need to get rid of that. Destroyed mountains result in invisible tile for a few frames, I guess. So there's a bug we'll have to address. Just so I remember what this is. When hitting the mountain with a boomerang, it flashes blue for a second. That seems to be what's going on. We'll put that in the list, though. Okay, so Boomerang Chang hits. We did get that done. It's Heligator, Heligator, Heligator. Let's think about this. Let's see, Heligator. Let's actually make it where you can destroy Heligators. That's step 1. There's one right now. Yeah, so now they're at different altitudes, so that's good. Let's destroy it. Nice! There we go, I got a key. I probably also need to save the data as soon as the player collects the key, because, you know, that's always bad. Like, if you die or you quit out after you've found, like, a bonus item, you can never remember where different things are. DS map. Expecting a number. And DS map add. Okay, I have to do something special for Booleans. So, let's see. The Heligator appearances. In terms of the appearances, I need to stop making them appear randomly. So that means coming into Enemy Manager, I think. Spawn enemies. There it is. So right now it's just randomly spawning heligators, but we know they work now, so the big thing now is to spawn it only when certain conditions are met. And what kind of conditions can we do? That, I guess I do have to keep that a secret. Otherwise it wouldn't be much of a secret. You could just watch the video and go around collecting the keys. But let's do one. Let's do one at least, just to make sure it works. I think I have an idea for the first one. So if we are in the plains and the player manages to kill greater than the minimum count of enemies in one go with the circling mechanic, then we'll spawn a heligator in the plains. Let's try that. And we do need one more check in here. If instance number Hodge heligator equals 0. So if we don't already have one, we'll spawn one. We do need one more check as well, which is, I'll comment it out for now, but we need the check. If global heligator key 0 is false. So if you haven't collected the key already, and you meet the conditions in the plains, a heligator should appear. This thing's growing past my capacity to destroy it soon enough. There we go! Yes, we got a heligator. And interesting. So if you touch it, it doesn't disappear. Something's not right with our heligator. Good thing we tested that. Let's see if we can destroy it the normal way. I'm not at the right altitude level anymore, am I? Let's go up. Okay, and circle. Expecting a number. Ah, I did this again. Okay. Well, it's worth testing, because we found two problems. If you're touching the heligator, bad things happen. And we still left one of these DS grid writes in here, so two things. I have to remember these two things if I can. Remind me if I forget. So now even if we touch the heligator, it should disappear, create a sound effect, do the beam thing, give us a key, do all that stuff. And Pandabits mentioned, can Tengu summon his own bonus round? Yeah, it would be nice to throw in some debug keys to actually give me the keys without having to collect them manually, because we did all that in Project Skyring. But what should we do? Like, give me some ideas. If you went to the work of finding all of these keys and collecting all of them, like, what would you expect? Is powering the player up so that they never run out of energy enough? Or would you want something more? That's only 4. I need more. That one's big. There we go. They should merge now. There we go. There's my heligator. And I got my key. Alright, saved globals, everything's fine. Okay, so you can either touch the heligator or circle it. What you have to do in the plains is kill at least 5 enemies with 1 circle to get the key. There's the plains one. We still have 6 more hidden things we have to create, so let's put that in the task list so I don't forget. Now that we've got the system in place, they shouldn't take long to do. I guess it kind of depends on how complicated they get, so let's go ahead and give us 2 hours for that. Appearance conditions. Okay. So we've put the one in the plains, and then I'll just sprinkle the other ones throughout the game. And I'll do that after the show. Obviously, we only want the player to go into an idle animation when they're on the ground, because if they were flying and decided to go to sleep, then they'd probably crash. So we don't need to do it for that. Also, they're constantly moving when they're in the air anyway, so it doesn't make much sense. But if they're on the ground, we do want to counter Sprite index equals whatever we're going to create now. Sprites player. Let's take one of the ground ones. So walking down, SPR idle D. Yeah, this is where it would be nice to have a better animation package, because we have to have a transition sprite and we also have to have the loop sprite. Like in motion, it would be an in, a loop, and an out. We need 3 different sprites. Just for testing purposes, let's just lop off her legs. Welcome to game development. The easy way out. So we're going to lop off her legs if she's in the idle animation. That'll make it real easy to test. All right. Idle D, that's fine. SPR idle player idle D. Player idle D, and we need a player idle up. Actually, do we? No, we don't. We don't. Because if they're idle, they should just sit down and face the camera anyway, so let's just make one idle. So this is idle loop. Let's do that. So we need an idle in, an idle loop, and an idle out. So SPR idle. Maybe we don't. Let's see what it looks like. The fewer sprites we need, the better. Let's try just loop. So if idle count is greater than idle cutoff, and idle count is 0, I'm going to get rid of this idle stuff. Save ourselves a couple of checks. We don't need all the extra variables, so we'll just have the idle count variable. If it's less than idle cutoff, then we add to it, which means we need to change this condition a little bit. Pick a sprite equals. Okay, anything else we can do? I think that should be enough. So if the player is waiting around for 20 seconds, basically her legs will disappear. And nice! Jamorian broke 500 subscribers on YouTube. Congratulations! That is not easy, but hopefully now that you've got 500, it's easier to kind of get the momentum rolling. Having 500 is very nice. Congratulations, you deserve it. How many are you up to on Twitch right now? What's your next milestone? There's our heligator. I guess for testing purposes, we could just keep changing the heligator angle every time we come in the game. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay, so I just have to sit around for 20 seconds. Let's see if I can do that. Hands off the mouse. 1,000, 2,000. Maybe I should have started it off a little faster. This is testing, so there's no real reason to have it be the actual 20 seconds. There we go, her legs disappeared. So obviously in the future, it's going to be more than just her legs disappearing. It'll be her actually like sitting down on the ground and lying down or something like, you know, standard pose or whatever. But theoretically, if I move her now, her legs should reappear. Yes. Okay, so we've got our idle animation in there. It's just a matter of actually putting it in. I need to fix that river loop as well. Brushing up the sound effects is a big task in the beta stage, because a lot of the sound effects are kind of annoying as they are, especially looping ones. That was actually not too bad. That was not too bad. Not as bad as I thought it would be. Idle loop. So now it's just, do we need an enter or not? It kind of depends on what animation we do. Because like before when I was thinking about this, let's go over to, let's see, Skyring? There we go. Hand drawings player. So something like this, when she's on the ground, she's just kind of relaxing. And then, you know, over time maybe she can fall asleep. So we could have two steps. We could have just the relaxing version, and then if you really wait a long time, she could fall asleep. Kind of a chance to show a little bit of a feminine side as well, with the shape and everything else. So step 1, step 2. If she's lying down, she probably has to sit down and get into this pose. That would be the in. So yeah, like 1, 2, 3 gas if you're in here. if you're watching, this is what I was talking about with like the email in like the idle poses and stuff. Probably just need her from the standing position. Assume that she's facing forward, so assume that she's in, you know, the forward-facing position. Gets into this position, and then a loop of something in this position, 4 frames or whatever, and then over time she can get into this position. So I guess there's, if we do go back and forth, there would be standing to sitting. Follower. Okay. Yes. HF, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for following. Do mention it to anyone who comes into the room, but if you are working on any games or whatever, feel free to post about those games. Talking about the Sprite stuff right now. Yeah, I love new followers, and I love new followers with cool games, cool names. Thinking of games on the brain. So yeah, for the animations, there would be the standing to the sitting, so that's 1. The sitting loop, the sitting to the lying down loop, and I guess if you really wanted to go all out, there would be the outs. That would be 6, depending on whether or not you could reverse the ins. Like if it makes sense, like if the way she sits down, if it makes sense to reverse that and have that be the stand-up kind of out animation, you could save on that animation, but kind of depends on how it looks. Let's just throw in some quick ones just to make sure that like the state changes are working. Hard to keep her still. Okay, there we go. She should be still now. She lost her legs. She went to sleep. Yeah, it could just be a case where the speed is too fast. Let's check again. Things are happening. She is getting to sleep. That's cool. Okay, the animation is showing up. It's just really, really fast. So you'd probably just need more frames of animations or in-betweens or something like that. But it is working. She is going to sleep. She does wake up rather quickly, which is a problem, so we just have to fix that real quick. Alright, turn that off, test the animation here. Okay, that seemed to work. It's hard to tell, but it seemed to work. Oh yeah, let me just check the heligator angle real quick, just to see what changing at 180 degrees does, and then I'll wrap up the episode. Thank you for sticking with me for 3 hours today to make up for last week, not being able to do the show last week. Oh, there is a heligator somewhere, though. That's right, I made the conditions for it appearing to be much, much easier. There it is, okay. Uh, it's rotating. It is rotating. It's rotating differently, but it's not quite right. So we're gonna have to fix that. We'll just keep working on that. That's fine. We've got it in our bug list. May not even be worth doing player in and out animations. I have to slow down the image speed to make it worthwhile, but we do have the resting sprite system in place, so that's fine. Heligator appearance conditions. That'll just do afterwards. So today we did get three tasks done in 3 hours, which is nice. We got like some of the tasks that have just been sitting there waiting for decisions to be made. We've cleaned them off. So episode 52, back to abnormal. We finished things off. Player Boomerang chain hits. We did that. So now when the player throws the boomerang, it slows enemies down, and if they kill multiple enemies at once, they actually get energy out of it. Otherwise, they don't. We've got the heligators now actually doing stuff. They show up under certain conditions, and if you can destroy them or run into them, you get special keys, and if you get all the keys, obviously good things happen. And we've got the idle animation stuff in there. So, that is episode 52. Let me, since it is episode 52, it is worth making a build, especially, you know, for those of you with the Sapphire Key. This is theoretically all of the gameplay in the game. So you can theoretically play the game. It's just probably very broken. So let's create the application. Way to fan your expectations. It's probably broken, but I do want to make a build for you because that is the thing. Having the Sapphire Key gets is early access. And 123 Gas said my Twitch is flashing red for some reason. It's celebrating. It's celebrating our 52nd week, our 52nd episode. But Rave, yes, we finally got things done. I'll keep that running in the background while I wrap up. But with episode 52 out of the way, this is just, I'm going to keep this off to the side. We've gotten a task done. The game is done. But it looks bad. It looks bad. So we do need to brush up sprites, especially 123 Gas. If you are able to help me with that, I would definitely appreciate it because having a cool looking main character would definitely be great. Some of the graphics I do need to work on brushing up are UI menu graphics, the player graphics with 123 Gas's help, if you have time. Hex tiles, some of the hex tiles are a little, so I have to fix those graphics. Particles, for the most part, maybe a little bit of adjustment. Logos, the title screen logos. We do need to have a logo for the game and stuff. That may be beyond my skill level. We'll see. We'll see. I'll start trying to kind of sketch it out over the next couple of weeks. 123 Gas. I have 2 streams open. If I refresh one, the other starts flashing. Interesting. Interesting. Maybe just an Adobe Flash problem. I don't know. It depends on which Twitch is being used. But it has been a long road to episode 52. We started last year with the planning phases. We started that out, went over to here, had a trip to America in there somewhere. Lots and lots of episodes, lots and lots of tasks. And before the kid was born, lots and lots of overtime. After the kid was born, not so much overtime. But there we are, episode 52. So, next week, let's think about what we're going to do. Let's see, beta episode 1. Let's just call it beta episode, because we're now in the beta. So, move that task here. What the beta means is I'm not going to do like animated shorts and stuff like that, and I'm going to focus on debugging, fixing things, brushing things up. That's what I'm going to focus on for these episodes. I still have to think about exactly what tasks I want to do online. I think for the most part it's just debugging the game, so let's do that. Let's make a task in here. Play game. That's a fun task. That's a fun task. play game and find bugs. Let's make sure it's not all fun. So just try to play the game from start to finish, see what kind of bugs there are, list them up over here so I can take care of them. We might take care of some of them as we go, but for the most part, you know, the next couple of weeks are going to be playing the games, trying to find all the bugs so that you guys don't have to deal with them all. And it looks like we're almost done with that build. So I will put it up in the usual place. It's an email from about a year ago, but like you know, for those of you who did pay a little extra for Project Spaghetti, you do have the Sapphire key. You do need what you need to do to know what you need to do and have what you need to play the beta when I put it up. It should be up in about 10 minutes. But I am going to wrap up. Thank you for watching our game development show. You can catch past episodes in this one over at youtube.com/BlueTenguStudio. If you're watching this later on YouTube, come drop by the live show we do every week at Twitch TV Blue Tengu. Brain's not working. We do that Sundays, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Japan time, which translates to 4 to 6 Pacific, Saturdays, I should say. Saturdays, 4 to 6 Pacific, 5 to 7 Mountain, 6 to 8 Central, 7 to 9 Eastern, because I'm living in the future. Saturday night to Sunday morning, midnight to 2 a.m. if you're in the UK. If you're in Japan with me, you are in the future. That's 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Sunday morning. And if you're in Australia, you're in the future with me, so that's starts around 8 to noon, depending on where you live in Australia, and around noon if you're in New Zealand. But we do always announce what we're doing through Twitter, so follow BTengu to keep track of when the live show starts or episodes go up, or follow us on Twitch or YouTube to get announcements that way. Of course, you can see what we're up to anytime over at our site, bluetengu.com. And again, as I mentioned just now, if you did pitch in a little extra for Project Spaghetti at itch.io, you have the Sapphire key file you need to unlock the prototypes as we put them up, and I'm about to put one up now, which has all the gameplay in it, broken as it is. And of course, we would appreciate any support you can give us getting Project Spaghetti greenlit on Steam. When Project Skyring goes up on Steam, probably I'll start spamming that instead of Project Spaghetti. I think Project Spaghetti is just too retro. It might not get greenlit unless you guys really, really suddenly like start a campaign and get things going. But I think Project Spaghetti's, yeah, it's too retro to get greenlit. So we tried it for a year. It's not going to get greenlit, so I think we'll have to put our effort into Skyring and see how this goes. But thank you for watching, and I will see you next week and next time.